guys, I'm Elise Wong, and today I'm going to share with you a time-lapse video along with commentary on how I did this digital painting. Usually if I were to paint something out of imagination, I need a backstory to figure out how to add in details about their personality and characteristics into the painting. So I usually come up with little stories to build up the character. So this is one of my old paintings I did a few years back. Her name is Phoraine and she is a princess of the Gryphon Rider clan. Her feathered friend name is Maramore and they live in a place called Talon Hill. So that was like the rough idea behind the old painting. So this time I thought to add to the story of Phoraine. She's in love with one of the warriors. His name is Zaden. So he is needed to lead an army in the northern part of the country into battle. Whilst Phoraine, she is also a fighter herself, and she is needed on the southern border, so they had to go their separate ways. The battle on the southern border was won, and Phoraine returned. However, there was no word from Zaden's group. They tried sending out messenger falcons to communicate with each other, but they haven't heard word from him for months. It seems that none of the enemies survived, but it also seems like none of their people survived either. It seemed that Zaden has perished in battle as well. After a couple of moons later, a group of knights along with their griffins were walking to the castle door. Apparently there were a few survivors and one of them was Zaden. So this is a scene of Zaden and Phoraine rejoicing in their reunion. That's kind of like their very basic story of it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. For this piece, I mainly used a standard round brush and an airbrush to paint most of it. However, I also did use the occasional custom brush to add the effects of scratches on his armor, and to do his chainmail, and to do her ruby on her gauntlet. You'll see me paint it later. Right now you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? I don't see no armor, but I planned for him to have armor, but I didn't know how it would look like because I've never painted armor before. But I really wanted to show the story that like he came back from war, and this is a scene of them rejoicing in their reunion. I wanted him to wear armor to look as if he's back from battle, but I didn't know how to design it, so in the beginning I just let it be. While I'm painting, you just kind of go with the flow, let your creative juice flow and see what you come up with. I usually start to paint with a standard round brush first, then I will smoothen the effects using a airbrush or smudging, but usually I use an airbrush to smoothen out the strokes of the standard round brush. Right now I am doing the flat colors of her crown, but then I felt like I didn't feel like it's the right time to shade it, so I will save it for later. This one I use a chalk brush, which is also available in Photoshop standard brushes. I like the chalk brush because it gives a lot of brush strokes that sometimes it really looks like cloth. Especially when it comes to fabric, knowing how they fold is a big problem for me. So for clothes especially, I need reference photos because just learning how the cloth fold, I find it really difficult. Yeah, so this is me at an attempt of armor. At first it kind of looks like a jester, but then I just kind of go with my instinct and just do what I do. At first I wanted to start off with silver, but then I thought yellow would have been a better choice of color in terms of contrast. Yeah, then later I kind of changed it to I changed it back to silver because he kind of looked too royal, even more royal than the princess he's hugging. So after that I turned it back to silver. Sometimes you will see me do adjustments. I would use the transform tool and mostly I would use warp, or I would just rotate it depending on how I want to amend my image. Sometimes I would also create a new layer and paint on top of that. If it doesn't work out, I can delete the layer without affecting my underneath, without affecting the painting that I've already done underneath. The history behind is that Phoraine, which is the she-elf, is a princess of the Gryphon Rider clan. So they are all about griffins. So I designed his helmet to look like an eagle is hugging his head. Yeah, and I used a custom brush to do the wings, so it looks like it's embracing his head. A friend asked me on Google Plus, if any of you guys follow me on Google Plus, how I created the composition. Okay, to be honest, this piece was actually inspired by an amazing artist named Adele Lorien. And I'm not sure if I actually pronounced that right, but she does amazing romantic pieces. If you actually check out her work, you can actually feel the love between the partners. You feel that it's real. I've always wanted to do romantic pieces, but then my human drawings were never really that good. So now that I'm improving, I wanted to give it a try, and since digital art is like the platform to experiment on, I gave it a shot. So I tried to portray a couple who has not seen each other for a long time, and when they embrace each other, you can just feel the relief of all the things they have been through and knowing that they are still going strong. For the metal, I find that using the standard round brush tool is really nice to make that metal effect. To give it that shiny effect, the highlight area, must be really bright, which gives it its whole shiny thing going on. For the arm, I also used a custom brush. It's kind of like snake scales, which give the effect of it kind of gives it an armor look to it, which I thought was quite suitable. Right now I'm doing his shoulder pads in the form of an eagle's head. Yep, eagle crazy! The gauntlet was real simple, and I did the same thing. I find that the standard round brush was really nice to give that metal effect. Now I'm using the hand tool to actually move the image to my advantage. If there's one thing I learned from miniature painting, especially in miniature painting, usually the figurines, they're all about war. And a lot of artists, the good ones, the very detailed ones, they always love to give weathering effects. The fact that it's not polished, it has experienced outside atmosphere. So like, take it for example, this guy has went to battles, so technically his armor is not going to be polished metal. It's going to have scratches on it, maybe a little dirt here and there, which I did not do, but note to self in the future. But yeah, I added some scratches to make it look more believable, like he's used it for quite some time. And for the scales, of course, to make it look like it popped out more, you have to put a little bit of shadows and highlights to it. Oh yeah, and another tool that I use to edit the painting is Liquify. Like for example, her hair volume is just too big for me, so I wanted to slim it down a little. I actually used Liquify to make her hair look smaller. Now I am doing the gauntlet. I used a reference from my old painting to keep its originality. So I did the ruby. I also used a custom brush to do the effects inside the ruby. Later I used a lasso tool and just paint around it to give that reflection on the ruby.
There's a lot of experimenting put into this, so I played around a lot with the saturation, the color balance, the brightness of the layers. So, quite frankly, I knew roughly how to work with this, but there was definitely a lot of experimenting going on. Right now I'm painting her archer glove. Some archers, you can see they wear this glove where it covers the index finger and the middle finger. This is so when they pull the string of the bow, the friction doesn't hurt your fingers too much. So it's that special glove thing. And that's what it is. It's not like some weird ass birthmark she got, that covers half her hand. It's actually a glove. I'm not sure if I portrayed that right. So now I'm adding more contrast, just painting the brightness brighter and making the dark darker. I thought to paint his hand, but then I thought her hair will just flow over it, so it looks better, I feel, that way. And I almost forgot about the last hand that was supposed to embrace her as well. And it's kind of like the same as before. I used a standard round brush and I just kept stroking. Highlights are very important. Right now I'm just adding in the midtones and the shadows of it. So later I'm gonna add the highlights to make the metal pop a little bit more. Especially when it comes to metals, they have like this high contrast thing going on. Gives it that shine. And you have that light effect, so you can it really gives a more three-dimensional look to it. I love color bounce. It really makes things look more vibrant. I bet you forgot all about the crown, didn't you? So, yep, she has this little eagle hit crown. I quite like from my previous design, so I'm just incorporating that design here as well. It's a design that I would definitely like to stick with in the future. So I'm playing with the contrast of it.
I hope you found that helpful and interesting, and it would really mean the world if you like and subscribe. It really means a lot because it really motivates me to do more videos like this. It gets me all pumped up. It's a lot of work documenting, commenting, video taking, yeah, but I enjoy it and I really hope you do too, because if you enjoy it, it's really a driving force behind that. So really appreciate if you like and subscribe, and I would definitely love to hear your thoughts. So leave your comment down below and I will read them. Thank you. If you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. And if you'd like to keep up to date with my photos and paintings, you can follow me on the following sites listed down below in the video description. They are Facebook, Google+, Deviantart, and Blogspot. That's all for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao. Love you guys.